Welcome to the Church Solutions Podcast, brought to you by JSL Solutions. The Church Solutions Podcast is designed to help equip you and your church in the use of technology and other tools and services. And now, here are your hosts, Steve Lacey and Phil Thompson.
Well, hello and welcome everyone to another podcast. We are Church Solutions Podcast.
Hi, my name is Steve Lacey.
I always have a problem getting that out. I don't say Church Solutions
podcast every week.
Yeah. I mean, we're StreamingChurch.tv and we're also ChurchAppLive.com and then we're MyFlock.com. But during the week, most of the time, I don't really talk about Church Solutions Podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's what we do. This is our weekly podcast. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. My name is Phil Thompson.
And again, I'm Steve Lacey.
All right. And we do a weekly podcast. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us lots of different places. If you're finding us on some other platform, you might subscribe to us on iTunes, Church Solutions Podcast. Give us a review. Give us a feedback. Or you can find us on YouTube. Just search for StreamingChurch.tv. And we have the audio version on YouTube. We're also on newmediaministries.tv. I don't know, probably somewhere else too for that matter. But we do streaming video. We do mobile apps. We do
church management systems,
which also involves websites too. So
yes.
People can do a website for us. Very interactive stuff. So Steve and I been doing this, doing church stuff for a long time. Ministries within our own churches and tech stuff for a long time. Today we are going to talk a lot about tech-related things. Sometimes on our Church Solutions podcast, we talk about different church-related things. Some of them are tech-related, some of them are not. But today it is tech-related.
So today we're going to talk about video adapters.
So video adapters have to do primarily with streaming video. And of course, that's one of our main staples here is streaming video with our company called StreamingChurch.tv. And so if you're thinking about doing streaming church, or if you're thinking about doing streaming video, this is a podcast you really should listen to because it involves a piece of equipment that you really need to have that most people don't consider.
Right. So normally, we'll be talking with potential customers that are interested in streaming and they say, what's it take? And we say, well, you're going to need a camera, you're going to need a computer, and you're going to need internet connection, and you need a way to connect that camera up to the computer. And I think what happens in a lot of people's minds is they go, oh, yeah, my camera I saw there was a USB cable with it, and so, I got all that covered. Now what do I need to do?
Right. And the problem with that is for your camera, you can't just plug it into your computer.
No.
You've got to have a video capture device or a card.
Right, exactly. So, and the reason for that is that you need an encoder, and the encoder needs to be able to recognize your video signal. And while you may have bought a camera and it may come with a CD with a cool little program where you can look at what's on your camera from your computer, your encoder software is not going to be able to use that bridge, and so you need a video adapter.
Right. And sometime we should probably do a podcast on cameras, and there's lots and lots of cameras you can use to stream with. But very quickly, you can use probably almost any camera, and that includes a consumer type camcorder.
Right.
To stream with. In fact, we have customers that just start out streaming, and they literally use, many of them, sometimes will use a consumer grade camcorder. That's how Alive Church, your church started a long time ago. They borrowed your camcorder.
And with cameras improving over the years, I mean, we listen to other people talk on the whole video subject, and one of the guys that we respect says the best camera he feels for streaming is a kind of a higher end consumer camera. It's not a professional or a prosumer level camera.
Which one is that? That's the one you have, actually.
I didn't buy it based on his recommendation, but it is the one we have. It's a Canon G20. Okay. It's called a Vixia G20. It's just a nice video camera. So,
and you got that like well over a year ago.
Yeah,
right?
a few years ago.
Yeah.
We were upgrading camcorders when we were actually videotaping our son leading worship, and we realized
Oh,
that
yeah.
the camera was not doing justice.
Yeah. Well, and that camera, you can do standard definition as well as high definition, right?
Yes, exactly.
And again, we'll get into that. We have talked in the past about, high definition streaming versus standard. We'll recover that. We'll redo that or revisit that subject again. But getting back to this video adapter thing, and the reason I bring up cameras is because there is one camera you can use without a video adapter. You know what it is?
Well, there is yes, and some ministries are doing that.
Some are.
It's a webcam, so you can do a webcam. And actually, remember working with a particular individual, and they said, "Oh, I got the webcam working, everything's working great." And he goes, "Now, how do I zoom?" I'm like, "Well."
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you know what? If this is all you've got to work with, there's ways you can make it work using a webcam. But I mean, they got those portable ones you can plug in your USB.
Yeah,
and
there's
places. But that's,
the other alternative I thought you were going towards is it's actually an older technology though that you can use. There's some of the older camcorders have FireWire, and if you have a FireWire on your computer, then it will work.
That's right, and the older cameras do. So you don't need a video adapter or video capture device if you happen to have a FireWire out of your camera. They don't make them anymore like that, but if you've got one or can get one,
then that would be work. Yeah. So let's start with what is a video adapter.
Right.
So it's basically, it can be some people call it a capture card or a capture device or a video card.
Right.
So it's anything that you can connect up to your computer that is designed for capturing video, capturing a video signal source.
Okay.
So, and it's typically going to be transferring technologies or interfaces, say your HDMI input into a port on your computer, or
if you're, I don't know where, if I'm getting ahead of us here, I might be, but there's typically you can buy some of these things on the market called VHS to digital or something is what it's called.
Or VGA to digital? Or
it's VHS. So I think it was originally designed, it's a device that's USB. So you plug your composite RCA jacks into one end of this thing. And the idea is that if you had a VHS, the old time
VHS player,
VHS player,
yes,
you could plug it into this capture device and then you could record it on your computer. And so and you can actually use that to stream with. We don't recommend it, but I'm getting ahead of us probably.
Right, but, we were going to talk about that. That's kind of one of the low-cost options.
It's very low cost.
But it's, I mean, basically a video adapter is going to be kind of translating video protocols to a format that your computer and your encoder is going to understand.
Yeah, okay. So, I'm sorry. So move on here. So
the next question is, we're talking to people, we say, well, you're going to need some way to connect your computer up. Well, can I just plug it in? No, you can't just plug it in. They say, well, what should I buy?
Right.
And so the answer is, it depends, right?
It depends. Again, we don't want to make this overly complicated because part of what we do is specialize in trying to make this simple for people,
right?
Especially if you're just starting out. But there are some basic questions. I mean, do you have a PC? Do you have a Mac?
Right.
That's going to vary. Do you have a desktop computer? Are you trying to use a laptop to stream with, which we don't really recommend, but you can?
Right.
Is it new? Is it old? That factors into your decision on what you should buy for a video capture device.
Right. And then as well as, what camera am I using?
Yeah.
And then and what outputs does that camera have?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and the other question is, do I want SD or HD?
Do you want standard definition streaming or high definition streaming? And we've talked about this before, but it does, usually HD is going to cost you a little more money.
Yeah, and your
equipment and everything else.
Yeah, and equipment and everything else, and it's kind of the higher end way of doing things.
Right.
But, and sometimes it may be lost on the majority of the people, basically because most people are watching from the web or from their phone.
Right.
And you're not gonna, it's not a 55-inch TV that you're broadcasting to. So
Right.
the HD, you're like, wow, it looks really good, but it looks really good
Well,
in SD too on my
yeah,
phone.
exactly. It's overrated in my opinion. But if you have a need for it, certainly we can help you with that and do that.
Yeah,
So
and then another question in there is what encoder software am I using? So, and all these kind of tie into what's my budget,
right.
because if my budget is really low, then I'm probably going to use a free encoder, which is going to limit my choices for video adapters.
Yeah. And there's people out there that say, well, you can't do streaming video uh, for less than $10,000. And the truth is that is not the truth at all. You can do streaming video for probably under $500.
Yeah,
But it's
including all the equipment, right?
Yeah,
So
including the equipment. That's really
well,
what I'm talking
that's
about.
really
Is
equipment, right?
it's
Yeah.
equipment. What I'm talking about. So and I know, again, if you're going to do it on a shoestring budget, you can do it. And I would say go ahead and start. And if you really like doing it, and God will provide, or other people will provide, that maybe get excited about seeing it online, and you can upgrade.
Right.
But a lot of people try to wait until they have so much money to do it. And, that's another subject.
It's another subject too. We're talking, yeah. And video qualities, as you mentioned, audio quality is a bigger turnoff than video quality.
Absolutely.
And we're all talking video adapter devices
So
here.
getting back to our subject, as Phil Thompson gets us off track here.
No problem.
Let's move on. So the outline, desktop, we talked about all these things that are factors and what when you're going to try to buy a video adapter, these factors we just mentioned. Let's talk quickly about desktop versus laptop.
Right. So a lot of the guys in the sound booth, they say, oh, I don't have enough room for another thing. I want to stick a laptop up here.
Yep.
And you can go the laptop route, but we actually don't recommend it. And we don't recommend it for a few reasons. Number one, when you're going with a desktop, you're going to have the ability for more input device options.
Exactly.
So you're going to have PCI slots where you can, I'm sure with that peripheral control interface, I think it stands for.
Yes.
That allows you to plug additional cards, a video card or another interface card into the desktop. So you're just going to have some more options when you go with the desktop as opposed to laptop.
You can certainly expand. You can expand your desktop much easier.
Right.
And then having to go out and probably buy another laptop if you want to try to expand it.
Yeah, and the interfaces to the computer typically need to be very fast data interfaces.
Right.
And so if you've got an older laptop, it's going to need, USB 3 or Thunderbolt or something like that. And typically the laptops, that you can afford or that you're, aren't going to have that. So desktop just gives you a lot more flexibility. Even if you don't have the port, you can go buy a card and plug it in.
Right. Yeah. Okay, good. So more options for the desktop. Internal. So as we talk about video capture cards or devices here, internal versus external.
Right. So you have the option. Internal basically means it's something that's going to mount inside of a desktop computer.
Right.
And external is an external device that would sit on the tabletop and have cables to connect up to your computer.
Okay.
So it's really user preference and which way you want to go. In my opinion, I don't think you're going to be limited either way. If you're on a laptop, you're going to have to go external.
Yeah.
So and the other option is that if you've got PCI slots, then you've got a lot of different options there's a lot more video cards and video input devices on the market than there are external devices.
All right, so moving on here as we talk about video capture, what should we get if we want to do streaming? Computer interface ports. So these are the things that you would plug something into your computer with, depending on the port you've got.
Right. So, and this really gets into for the external. So if I got an external device, I'm going to need to connect it up to my computer. And typically, if you're going HD, it's going to require a USB 3.0, which is the new standard for USB ports, or a Thunderbolt, which is primarily limited to the Mac.
Right.
I did a little bit of searching to see if you can get a Thunderbolt port put on your desktop PC,
Mhm.
and they're out there, but
Mhm.
they're not real prevalent, and they're not inexpensive like a USB 3.0 port. USB 3.0 PCI card, we just got one recently, was less than $30 or so.
Okay.
Whereas this Thunderbolt I was seeing, they were like $350, $400 for a
Oh,
Thunderbolt port. And
yeah,
somebody out there, if they
that's
know more about the whole Thunderbolt option on the PC, then send us a note or fill us in. But
yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Of course, what we've and well, the other option would be besides USB 3.0 and Thunderbolt would be FireWire.
FireWire, yes,
FireWire, we have found from our own experiences that if you're doing standard definition video, that FireWire, as we mentioned earlier, if you got an old camera that's got FireWire out, it's perfect. You don't need any kind of a video capture device. Of course, you've got to have FireWire port on your computer.
right.
The other thing would be there are some devices out there that you could do HDMI out into the device, and it goes into your computer, and then on the other end via FireWire.
FireWire, yeah.
Most people don't know what. If you go to some of these places like Best Buy or something, they're going to look at you cross-eyed when you say FireWire. It's old technology, but it is very effective.
Yeah,
It
it's not
processes
real old, but it is old. It's
well in computer standards these days,
yes,
right?
yeah.
I
In
mean,
computer standards, definitely.
it's old, but it's very effective when it comes to streaming because it really processes that signal. It's so much
Yeah,
easier on your
and
computer.
our experience has been the encoders. It's just been really reliable. The encoders all recognize the FireWire import. It just seems to
Right.
cross a bunch of hardware boundaries, and
Right.
it just seems to
Right.
be, what's the word, just more available and more robust.
Turnkey. You just
Yeah,
plug it in
yeah.
usually and it works. But it is kind of going
It's going away.
out of
They
style.
don't, the
Yeah.
newer computers aren't going to offer it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember that it's FireWire, but it's also IEEE something.
Yeah. There's actually two types, two different pins or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
And
different.
again, this is, I'll get on my Apple campaign, but on the computer side, Apple pretty much introduces all these traded. The first ones was CD-ROMs, and the first one was FireWire, and then the first ones to drop them or drop whatever the technology is. So
they move on. All right, so those are the three main ports that you can have. And again, some of this comes down to, as you just mentioned, HD or standard definition, SD, HD or SD capable video adapters. So the question is, all right, what do I get? What kind do I get? And explain to us what HD is.
So, and HD is really, it's the buzzword. People say, I want HD. It's kind of like, I don't know exactly what it is, but that's the buzzword. So and there is, I think if you look up on Wikipedia, they say the beginning of HD definition is 720p.
Okay.
So, which in resolution wise, that's, I don't remember the first number, but the second number is 720p.
Yeah.
1920.
10.
It's
Yeah,
more than
maybe
that.
1920.
It's more than that. Yeah.
1080.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a resolution, and what's interesting, as I mentioned earlier, is most people are going to be watching this on their computer, and your computer screen's not your 55-inch TV, or they're going to be watching on their tablet, or you're going to be watching on your phone.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at the video in non-full screen mode, you'll notice that it may look crisp, but you can broadcast in SD at that resolution, and it'll look really crisp as well.
Yeah.
You only start to see differences in HD is when you go full screen on larger screens.
So to stream, and again, this is another subject, but if you're really streaming and improve the quality of your stream, that's going to be up to you. And that's up to how you set your encoder, and that's up to your network. So if your network has high upload speed,
right,
which you should be doing, you should constantly be testing your upload speed. I mean, you really should, because it does fluctuate. And a lot of people, I've had people tell me, well, we don't like you guys because the quality is not very good. It's like, well, what's your encoder set at? Well, we're streaming at 400 kilobytes per second and the resolution's blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, why don't you change the resolution and change your upload speed? Oh, wow, it's a big difference. Yeah. So
Yeah, and it's a as you know, is a pet peeve of mine when people complain about quality because they don't realize this, but they control the quality.
right.
We
That's
can
the bottom
transmit
line.
whatever quality signal sent to us.
Yeah.
So the quality is not reflective of our service; it's reflective of how they're encoding and their quality of their camera and that sort of thing.
Camera, lighting, the whole bit.
So, and the video adapter fits into that. So if I'm going SD, it's going to give me some different options for video adapters as opposed to HD, and HD will give me some, it's going to limit my choices on video adapter. So that's one of the questions that you would want to answer before you started picking a video adapter.
Yeah, and the other to the other side of the coin, the argument that they have is, well, the quality is not good. Well, my next question is, what kind of a video adapter do you have? Because there can be poor video adapters out there, and you can have some issues if they're poor
cameras as well.
Right,
and then encoding it at a not a real good rate. So, and there are some guys out there that do just an incredible job.
Yep.
Yeah, we have the benefit of being able to drop in on services all over the world, and there are some people that just do an amazing job, primarily with lighting, and that translates into great image quality.
Yeah. It really does. There's little tricks to that, which we've covered in the past here, but we'll cover it again. So here's the big question: does the www support high definition video?
Yes, the web does support HD, but as I mentioned, a lot of times it's going to be lost. I mean, if you're used to uploading your videos to Facebook or someplace like that, they're going to re-encode that thing in a lower quality video because they don't want to take up the space. So if you're used to watching videos on the web, I would guess that, I don't know, 90% of the videos you're going to watch are going to be standard definition videos. And I don't hear a lot of people complaining about, the quality of the video. The cat video I watched was not. So most of the videos on the web are going to be SD, but the web will support HD broadcast. And if you're watching, if you're going online and watching ESPN and you're taking your computer to full screen, you're getting an HD signal.
Right. Yeah.
So, stuff like that.
A lot of it's going to depend on your own network as well. I mean, I remember, I think it was last year, maybe Jerry Seinfeld, famous comedian, has been out of the TV thing for a long time, but he has some deal going called Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld or something, and it was an internet thing, and he had this little show that he did on the internet, and again, I can't remember. It's Coffee with somebody, Coffee with Jerry or something, and Coffee Talk or something. But they were streaming true HD, I guess. Well, as true as you can on the web. But it was hard for me to watch it, and I have pretty good internet here at my office.
Oh, you mean it was buffering?
It was buffering on me
and skipping, and
yeah, it was buffering on me, and I know part of it was because whatever they were encoding it as, it was really difficult for me. I haven't watched it lately, but I'd watch it for a little bit and it would freeze up or buffer. Well, this is Jerry Seinfeld. I mean, whoever's doing this with him, his company. You're going
to want to, and we'll hopefully not get too far off in a tangent on the HD bit, but he probably didn't have the adaptive bit rate set up there so that when your network was starting to falter, it would degrade. It would switch to a lower quality signal without interrupting the video.
They didn't have something set up right, which I thought was interesting because we're talking a big name. But anyhow, moving on.
Yeah,
here. So,
which is still in the quality. We offer adaptive bitrate for any quality you want to see.
We do with StreamingChurch.tv. So all right. So getting moving on here.
All right, moving on. What brand do we recommend? And we're basically, we really don't have a real strong recommendation here, but we found that with Blackmagic, well, first off, we do recommend Wirecast. So Wirecast as an encoder. Yeah. And Wirecast has a list of video capture devices that they have tested and lists of video capture devices that the manufacturers have tested. Right. And so if you go to Wirecast and you look for or look at the capture cards page, which is under the Wirecast features.
Mhm.
Go to Wirecast. It's telestream.net/Wirecast, and click on the features one, and they have a capture cards link, and it'll give you a whole page of recommended or devices that do work. And so it's a mixture of primarily video cards that fit into your desktop, but also some external.
Yeah.
The brand that has the most options and the most hardware to offer is Blackmagic.
Yes.
And we've got a long history with Blackmagic and basically dealing with customers that have Blackmagic products. And so while they are very powerful and can do a really good job, sometimes they can be very frustrating to work with.
Yeah, there's been times where our tech guys have been pulling their hair out. In fact, a couple of years ago, we didn't even recommend Blackmagic devices.
Right, we were saying stay away because we get these calls and the stream wasn't working, and they were going through a Blackmagic video card, and there was frame rates and resolutions and things that were all out of whack.
Video and audio was out of sync
Yes,
typically on many of them. Now, I will say this, though, that part of that has to do with Flash Media Live Encoder. The Flash Media Live Encoder is the free encoder, which has been a really good encoder. It's a good encoder if you're starting out streaming.
Right.
And you can make it work with some switchers, but it does not play well with most Blackmagic devices. It doesn't do well with HD.
Most HD devices, yes.
It doesn't do well. So that's why we have pushed people more towards Wirecast.
Yeah, Wirecast is going to work
other ones too.
better. But so Blackmagic is definitely the most popular. It's the I don't know, the Apple in the phone world, or they're the big brand out there. There's others out there that I've had some experience with, mainly with VGA adapters, was the Matrox.
Okay.
They sell video cards and adapters as well. I think they're I think Blackmagic is maybe a little of the premier brand.
Yeah.
And some of these others are a little less.
Well, there's lots of different Blackmagic devices too. We're kind of running out of time here, but moving very quickly here. Inexpensive.
You touched on this. There's inexpensive adapters out there, and this is going to be your HD or your SD realm,
standard definition
realm, and you're going to have you may have some mixed results. So at the low end, you can spend like $50 and go to Best Buy and buy the Pinnacle Dazzle, which is kind of geared for taking your VHS or your DVD player video and converting it or loading it on your computer.
Yeah.
So the Pinnacle Dazzle, and then the other thing you had found at a Radio Shack was the GigaWare device. Which
I don't know if it's available anymore.
Oh,
actually.
yeah?
I couldn't find it. Somebody was asking me the other day about it. I couldn't find GigaWare, but it was another one of those VHS to DVD devices.
So it's $50. It's going to plug in your USB 2.0 port. So you're going to you may get lucky and everything works great and looks good, or you may just really struggle.
Anytime you plug into a standard USB, it drains your resources. It doesn't process it right. It's not the best way to do it. But we do have people that are doing it in very simple setups, and it works.
All right.
Quickly.
So our recommendations. So we've really struggled with this. We've been purchasing various hardware over the years. One that we really liked, but it's in the SD realm, and it's actually, I don't think it's offered anymore. I think you can get it on Amazon, but I didn't see it on their site, which was the Grass Valley ADVC 55, which is FireWire. So you have to get a FireWire card. So it's kind of a low end SD option, but it was very reliable for us.
Yeah.
We've moved into some Blackmagic products. We've purchased the Blackmagic Intensity Shuttle.
Mm-hmm.
And one bit of advice that I found as I've played with it is they'll send you a CD or a DVD with software for your device. It's actually it's generic for every Blackmagic device. I found it's your best bet is to not use that and go to the Blackmagic site and look for the drivers for Intensity Shuttle.
Okay.
And download and install it. So I spent many an hour trying to make this thing work, and then I uninstalled everything that came on the DVD with the device and went to the web and downloaded and plugged it in, and everything started working. Yes.
Yeah. So the black, very quickly, we're out of time, but the Blackmagic Intensity Shuttle does give you some, the price is reasonable, the inputs for it, you can do standard definition, composite,
You can do
S-video,
yeah.
but you can do HD, supposedly.
Yes, and it plugs in USB 3, which is also a fairly rare bird.
Yeah.
I'm told that if you have a laptop, even with USB 3.0, that you'll have very mixed results depending on what laptop and what chipset is used for your USB 3.0. So you may want to contact the Blackmagic guys to see if it's going to work with your laptop.
Good luck there. Okay.
Yeah, but most desktops it should work. We've tried it on one computer, and it's also limited to Windows.
Yeah, that's another problem.
But although you can buy the Thunderbolt version, which is available for the Mac, if you have a Thunderbolt port. So the USB shuttle has either USB 3 or Thunderbolt.
And I think Wirecast was talking about it, and they liked it.
Yeah.
But we have mixed feelings about it. But, we can certainly talk to you about this stuff. If you're thinking about doing streaming or upgrading or want to do some things, just send us an email, support@StreamingChurch.tv. And we can talk some more about this. Or if you have something to offer, if you have other ideas on this, or maybe you strongly disagree with us, which is okay. We're open to feedback. Let us know. Support@StreamingChurch.tv. So we're out of time. But I think this was good. I think hopefully very helpful.
I hope. Hopefully useful.
It was good. So thanks, Steve. Thanks for doing that. I'm Phil Thompson. We will wrap things up here with another edition of the Church Solutions podcast. Have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will catch you next time.